Hi Aries, this is your May 24 soul story if you've got a sun rising or your moon is in the sign. I'm hoping these messages may resonate and just give you some support as you make your way through the next few weeks. We are going to open up with the energy of temperance, and you know what, regardless of any and all circumstances around you, you are going to feel that May just gives you a little bit of a reprieve. You also have the extra energy and vitality of the power boost with Mars having shifted into your sign, and that is going to make a world of difference for you. You may still feel a little bit shaken through the events and energies that you navigated in April, but the dust settles a little bit and some clarity is afforded to you. Temperance, of course, reminds us that we have to continue to seek the balance in our life, which starts within the self, and you're really in a more grounded position in the first part of May, and sometimes it's hard to move forward before we feel ready, you know, but one of the things that I think we're being taught so clearly through the course of this year is, you know, how do we methodically continue to find a state of presence and awareness and groundedness as chaos continues to reign. And really what that does for us, each and every one of us, is build resiliency through turbulence. Now, Pluto stations direct on the 2nd of the month, and you know, over the next few months we continue to reflect, as we do every year, around themes connected to power and control, and on an individual basis the transformative experience of really owning and dealing with patterns and tendencies, obsessions, compulsions, and you know, the way in which we do things that can ultimately continue to sabotage ourselves. And so, you know, you're taking some time with temperance, and I like the sort of moderate way that you show up through the month. Remember, we're activating that second house of value, and you know, as you've moved into this new perception of who you are, as you've birthed this new being through your solar returns, you have to kind of slowly figure out, what does that mean for each and every aspect of my life? And I think that you are going to be making a fairly significant commitment to yourself through this month from the shaken and awakened experience. And it's kind of like the now what. What I mean by that is May is very much our emotional response to everything that has just unfolded in our world, personally and collectively. And you've got High Priestess coming through, 2 majors opening up this month that I really like for you, because it's trusting innately in your own wisdom within your own path, and it's coming through with a leveled and direct willingness, I think, to say, you know what, we are where we are, but I also need to make the changes and almost redistribute the energies so that I can find my equilibrium within this new normal. I want to say to yourself, you know, and the new moon in Taurus is really going to highlight this for you. Give it 6 months, Aries. Like, whatever it is that you're focused upon, what you're considerate of making an adjustment or a change, where you're looking to really start seeing like the measurable progress of things, give that time to yourself. Give yourself permission to say, you know, between now and then, of course I'm going to be invested and directing myself towards what it is I want to see from this situation, but I'm not going to go in like hard and heavy. I'm going to have compassion and tolerance and patience, and this is what Taurus teaches us so beautifully, right? And that doesn't mean that it's always easy, you know, it still means we show up to do the hard things, but it's giving you an opportunity to find a more sustainable, realistic way to allow this process to unfold. Because as much as we want to force or push or progress things on our timeline, it's not always how it works, is it? It's not always how it happens. And so, you know, if we see everything as a portal, everyone as a portal almost, you know, let's choose the ones that represent growth and possibility. And remember, you know, when faith is tested, when our faith is tested the most, the greatest teacher that we have is Mother Earth, right? So go out and do the wild swimming and touch the trees and feel the ground and plant the seeds, and know that, you know, you're not meant to be shutting down, you're meant to be opening up in this season. And that in itself can be one of the hardest things to do. Now, High Priestess and Four of Pentacles does tell me that you're holding on to something, right? There might be knowledge or wisdom or information that's come through. You are holding on, and perhaps there's a timing aspect to that. You know, you're figuring out when is going to be the optimum time in order for me to either share this or to express it or to put something into motion, okay? I think that through the course of Taurus season, there is a requirement for us to start seeing that tangible result, and therefore it demands of us to take the action. And it may be that through the course of, you know, the eclipses last month, the conjunction that happened, the retrograde that went on, a lot of the plans that you made or actions that you were implementing either got kind of completely like juggled about, or new things came to light and everything got on hold, or you just didn't have the energy you thought you were going to. So, you know, April was a sort of quite topsy-turvy experience for many, and I think May is going to sort of feel like that. Okay, stop, just catch my breath. How am I going to respond to all of this experience? Now, New Moon and Taurus bringing in, you know, I think the vision that you have of what it's going to take, and sometimes that dose of realism that Taurus and any of the earth sides can afford us, but particularly Taurus, can sort of feel a little bit harsh, right? It can feel a bit like almost gosh, I don't even know where to begin. It feels like there's so much to do, so much to consider, so much to take on. And so you might just have that moment of, again, you know, Temperance and Four of Swords just says, like, just take stock, just take a minute, take a step back and really figure out what that next choice, thought, action needs to be for you. You definitely need some time out of something, from someone perhaps. And that's going to afford you the opportunity to just regulate your energy a little bit and actually get a true assessment on how you genuinely feel about something, because you might have been overly influenced or, you know, distracted, or in some way like the disharmony of a situation has like kind of overshadowed like your ability to get like sort of a true read, if you like, on what your intuition is telling you. And High Priestess is coming through so strong this month, which, you know, really invites that reflective moment. And you will find, you know, increasingly so, but especially like through this month of May, like how much more like, you know, telepathic you are in the sense of knowing what someone's about to say, just getting the read psychically, the predictions of understanding like who's about to phone, what's about to happen, and trust that that's only going to continue to grow. And the more that you give time and space and acknowledgement to it, the stronger it's also going to become for you, right? So Ceres, asteroid goddess, is shifting retrograde in Capricorn from the 14th, and this cycle is really talking to us about how we thrive and survive. And, you know, one of the things that I've been saying this month is like, you know, everything has changed, right? The landscape's changed. And so to what degree are we able to sort of adapt to where we are now, rather than trying to keep returning to a state of being or a type of experience that perhaps represented to you something more comfortable, something, you know, easier, better, more fulfilling. And so right now there might still be some resistance, you know, to the acceptance of where you now are, and therefore the need to adapt and then sort of almost alter or shift what that outlook or that plan or that next step needs to be. So that's a process that, you know, I think with the eclipse through your sign, you know, it's all sort of happening anyway, but particularly through May, you'll sort of come to terms with things a little bit more and realize that this doesn't have to kind of represent like a future that feels so uncertain and so unknown and so different from what you'd wanted or expected that it kind of has you upheavaled all over the place, but rather that the transformation that's taking place is affording you this kind of rebirth moment that you get to rewrite the script and start saying, okay, like, well, what now? And again, back to what I'm saying, it's about your emotional response to things. We may also have an ending happening on some level, and so there may be some grieving that's kind of taking place, whether that's just an old version of, you know, who you used to be, or just something that's fundamentally kind of coming to that point of this is now transforming. And even if you want it, even if you've been asking for it, even if it's something that it's just like felt like it was never going to arrive and then it happened so suddenly, you know, you're still almost like coming to terms with that that's okay too, right? So, and through, again, Taurus season, we just get to be a little bit more deliberate to stop and kind of acknowledge a lot of what's happening and almost sort of see some things through slow motion that's just going to help us to recalibrate a little bit. Pallas Athena also stations retrograde in Scorpio on the 16th. And, you know, as I look at that death card connected into Scorpio, I think, you know, it also helps you to have the difficult conversations. And even though it might be something that you have been putting off or felt challenged to do, actually the outcome feels a lot more buoyant and positive than what you might have anticipated. King of Wands says, you know what, we bring new solutions forth. And you may then be able to have type of conversations where you never expected to hear what was being offered or being presented or shown to you or illustrated in some capacity. And I think that gives you a little bit of fire in your belly. And, you know, it helps to gear up, especially as we sort of make our way into Gemini season, this opportunity for you to feel like, okay, I know how to work with this now. And so for many, you might have found yourself in circumstances that you're like felt so alien or kind of unusual to you that it was a struggle. But there is that sense of then being directed. Now, part of the bigger energy of this month I also see unfolding is the sort of withdrawal energy from situations, people, experiences, because you're having to make space for what the new is and how that's coming through. King of Wands may be connected to something that is ending at the same time, you know, or you know, an experience where you're also trying to make space for that new kind of vision that you've got. Now, we've got some beautiful lucky dates that I want you to pay attention to this month. The 18th, Sun and Jupiter lighting up the skies with more growth and opportunity. We also have the full moon in Sagittarius coming in on the 23rd. And again, there's some lovely alignments astrologically that are having conversations that feel rich and fertile and full of growth and potential. And, you know, I want you to pay close attention to where your mind is at in and around the 23rd of the month, because that fellow fire sign Sagittarius and in Gemini season with that air that becomes combustible and ignites something, it's almost like you get a fresh wave of inspiration or a whole new kind of way to approach something. Your attitude shifts. It's almost like the power boost, the vitality kind of goes up another gear for you. So really like the energy coming in at the end of May. We also, of course, have Jupiter shifting into Gemini, which totally changes the landscape, flooded over the next few months and into next year with so much more information that we have to disseminate. What is truth? What's real? What's fake? And it's like this discernment offers an opportunity to kind of hold space for like your version of the truth, what you stand for, what you believe, because the splintering off is going to be quite unfathomable, honestly, if you haven't kind of come to a place of peace and acceptance about what's going to maintain your equilibrium. Remember, what you feel intuitively is the right way forward. But it also heralds this amazing opportunity to kind of get out there with information and allow it to be picked up and understood and shared and, you know, creatively received, and all of that can feel incredibly exciting. So depending on how you are directing your focus and attention, like be aware that this transit can kind of go on a whole new level, if you like, especially, you know, you're working with that third house, so the capacity to make kind of quick moves and temporary sort of situations that can actually provide some incredible progress for you, even though you know, okay, I'm not going to be doing this necessarily in a year or 5 years, but for right now it's perfect. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, if you're new to the channel, our last 3 cards we look at in the extended version of the reading. You can find the link in the comment and description box underneath. We talk for 30 minutes or so. Look at a personal card and a relationship card for you as well, Aries. I'm just going to go ahead and clarify these cards and see the direction we're going to be taking that reading in for you. Okay, now please go check my website, romywiser.com, if you're new to the channel. Over there you'll find my sacred titles, my oracle deck, and my book Moon Musings. You'll also find ways to work with me and all my sacred soul support, so guided meditations to help you on your spiritual journey, my membership, everything that is here to enable you to feel more held and seen and supported. All the decks I use are also listed below. Okay. King of Wands. What do we have? Strength. And another energy of death. Okay. Right, we're just going to go ahead and look at some oracle cards from Life Soul Vision. This is my own deck. See what we've got coming through. Spirit Crane. We've got energy conversations, portals of possibility, beautiful. Root energy, love that. Soul Star energy, and the Gathering. Beautiful cards this month. Okay, let's have a look. 2 additional oracles for you for May, Aries. Ingenuity, beautiful. Especially remember in second house, you know, you're really looking at your sense of value and how it translates in your life and the relationships you hold, the money that you make, the possessions that you have. Major shifts and changes going on as a result of your expansion in assessing your own value, the crossroads. Okay, gonna leave it there. I hope you'll join me for the extended. Have a beautiful month of May. Enjoy the energies. Take good care. I'll see you again.